Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Our lead story of the day is regarding former President Donald Trump might be getting arrested tomorrow, and he called on his supporters Saturday afternoon to take action after he claimed earlier in the day that he will be arrested next week. The remarks from Trump come after a report from NBC News said federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies were analyzing security assessments and making plans to prepare for the possibility that Trump could be indicted next week by a Manhattan grand jury in connection with the $130,000 hush money payment he allegedly made to porn actress Stormy Daniels during the 2016 presidential campaign. Which is amazing to me because you really see the double standard. I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong here, but what I'm saying is that you're going after a man who paid some porn actress or star $130,000 of hush money, reported it falsely on the books as probably a legal expense, or no, not probably, was a legal expense as far as what he put down. And you're going to go after the man for that. But yet, under the Obama administration, you literally had espionage, you had bribery, you had him utilizing the IRS to go after conservatives and conservative politicians. I mean, the amount of things you can go after Barack Obama on alone is head spinning. Not to mention where all the investigations on Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. I mean, the crazy thing about this whole thing too is that we were told that the Hunter Biden laptop was disinformation, that it was misinformation, and then it went to Russian misinformation, disinformation. And you couldn't even talk about it on social media out of fear of being removed, deplatformed, and banned altogether. And no joke, supposedly, there's headlines out there that talk about Hunter Biden going to sue on behalf of his own laptop. So we were told that we couldn't talk about something because it was fake, and it turns out it was real. We saw the same thing with COVID-19. Also, what's kind of frustrating is that you have Hillary Clinton not being indicted over anything. Speaking of breaking the law, having a server with government documents and access to government documents in her bathroom, and then she bleach bits it and completely scrubs the whole thing. So that's where people are really frustrated on this whole idea of Trump being indicted, but you have all these other politicians that nobody's looking under the hood at. Look at Nancy Pelosi just miraculously is making certain investments in the stock market before certain things and events happened so she can capitalize on all those stocks and those gains because she may or may not have had some information. I find it all suspicious, but you're going to go after Trump. Well, Trump said this on social media. It's time. We are a nation in steep decline, being led into World War III by a crooked politician who doesn't even know he's alive. He's not wrong. I miss Trump, man. But who is surrounded by evil and sinister people who, based on their actions on defunding the police, destroying our military, open borders, no voter ID, inflation, raising taxes, and much more, can only hate our now failing USA. He's not, I mean, everything he said in there is literally truth. Also said, we just can't allow this anymore. They're killing our nation as we sit back and watch. We must save America. Protest, protest, protest. Not to give a shameless plug, but literally this is exactly what my book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America, talks about. Literally how the left is sitting in here behind their ideologies and narratives and are destroying this country from the inside out. I highly recommend you hop over to Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, buy yourself a copy, folks, because God, it is a timely book, let me tell you. Trump's statement in the afternoon comes after he wrote on social media earlier today. He said this: illegal leaks from a corrupt and highly political Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which has allowed new records to be set in violent crime and whose leader is funded by George Soros, indicated that with no crime being able to be proven and based on an old and fully debunked by numerous other prosecutors fairy tale, the far and away leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States of America will be arrested on Tuesday next week. Protest, take our nation back. Well, Fox News got a hold of this, or at least some wind of this, and they had this to say about the whole ordeal.
Well, we are learning that the Manhattan DA's office has asked for a meeting with law enforcement ahead of a potential Trump indictment. This is coming to Fox News from a source in the courts. The meeting, which was requested yesterday and has not been set yet, is to discuss logistics for sometime next week, which would mean that they are anticipating an indictment next week. The same source who's familiar with the planning said they will go over security preparations in and around the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Secret Service will take the lead in what they will allow or will not allow. The source cautioned, mentioning, for instance, that the decision to handcuff the president, a former president, or not, they will set the tone and will escort him into the courtroom. There will be coordination between all of us, the source said, but we will defer to the Secret Service. The battle will be between Secret Service and DA Alvin Bragg. They will decide how and when he'll get into the building, and they are not going to leave him. The source believes that the former president will still have to be fingerprinted and processed like every other defendant. So this is a huge development if Alvin Bragg has decided to go ahead with a felony indictment of the former president. This was a charge that the federal officials refused to prosecute on or even really pursue. This was a misdemeanor in New York that Alvin Bragg has decided to elevate to a felony, while at the same time downgrading other felonies to misdemeanors. So we'll be watching this to see how it all unfolds, to get more information as it comes in. Sandra?
We all know what this is about, folks. This is to go after Trump because they have Trump derangement syndrome. They don't like them. And they've been going after the guy ever since he went down the elevator. Literally ever since this guy decided to run, nonstop going after this man. Well, Mike Pence was thrown into the mix on this, and he was questioned by ABC this week. Here was that interview and that question.
Donald Trump is saying that he's going to be indicted on Tuesday. He's calling for people to protest. Now, we don't know if that's true. The Manhattan DA has not said anything about it. But he's calling for people to protest. Is that irresponsible?
Well, first, let me say I'm taken aback at the idea of indicting a former president of the United States. At a time when there's a crime wave in New York City, the fact that the Manhattan DA thinks that indicting President Trump is his top priority, I think, just tells you everything you need to know about the radical left in this country.
Damn right.
The last 5 years, Democrats have been dismantling tough criminal justice in the city of New York. Families are paying the price, and yet
not just in New York.
This is what we get. It just feels like a
everywhere
politically
else
charged prosecution here. And I, for my part, I just feel like it's just not what the American people want to see.
But he's calling on people to protest, to come out and protest, take our nation back. We know what happened the last time he said that.
The whore that a president says go protest, even though it's your First Amendment right to do so. And by the way, he said to respectfully, or rather peacefully, protest. But this is the part that these some of these reporters leave out. I'm saying some of them because there's a lot of good reporters, and we do cover them here on the Paul Brad Show that do a fantastic job. But look, he said to peacefully protest. You got some knuckleheads that went and did the January 6th event that everybody said was knuckleheads and a bunch of idiots. They got what was coming to them. The Democrat Party and the January 6th committee lied about the whole thing, push a certain narrative when they themselves didn't see all the 40,000 hours of footage themselves. Some employees did, of which they didn't bring to the actual January 6th committee. But that's here nor there. That's a whole separate video. But it's true. Is that this is where they want to spend all their time going after Trump for $130,000 for him, which is a drop in the bucket. It's like us going down to McDonald's and tipping somebody $1 and being called a little bit of hush money. So $130,000, don't get me wrong, should he have done it? No. Everybody agrees with that, but that was 7 years ago. And now you're going to go after the guy still now and just not let it go over a misdemeanor. It's so everybody sees what's going on. It's right out there in the open.
Well, John, the American people have a constitutional right to peaceably assemble.
Absolutely, but to have a former president calling on people to protest the whore justice proceeding.
The frustration the American people feel about what they sense is a two-tier justice system in this country, I think is well-founded. But
oh, yeah.
I believe that people understand that if they give voice to this, if this occurs on Tuesday, that they need to do so peacefully and in a lawful manner, that the violence that occurred on January 6th, the violence that occurred in cities throughout this country in the summer of 2020 was a disgrace. The American people won't tolerate it, and those that engage in that kind of violence should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Look, I agree. If you're going to go out and protest, don't be an idiot. Go out there and peacefully do it. Utilize that First Amendment. You can vocalize yourself. Don't damage somebody else's property. Don't hurt anybody. Don't harm anybody. Just don't act like an idiot. Act like a mensch and go out there and support your president for what's honestly being done to him, because it's disgusting. And it's not going to let up unless we speak up on behalf of the president. So it wasn't just Mike Pence speaking out. It wasn't just Fox News and others. You have Newt Gingrich taking to Twitter saying, arresting President Trump over a 2016 event, which is of dubious illegality, is another sign of the left's insanity. To arrest a former and future president is an act of hatred and poison and will further harden support for Trump while discrediting the left, remembering Hunter Biden. Again, remember Hunter Biden, of which nothing still happened yet. Or going after investigating Joe Biden, of which there's emails on. There's also emails with Eric Holder, former Attorney General, and Barack Obama, talking about going again after conservatives for certain things and targeting them with the tool of the IRS. But, you know, Barack Obama literally lied to everybody, said he knew no such thing. And you have the ATF going after certain areas of business owners for working with them in conjunction of giving the cartel and others guns and scrubbing them. I mean, it goes way beyond an episode that we could do here. That's freaking head spinning. But again, there's a double standard. There's a double tier justice system, just like you saw from Mike Pence, going after the former president. And Hunter Biden, still, nothing's been done about that. You also have Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire saying they want Trump to be a Republican nominee. That's obviously the play here. There is no other convincible reason to arrest and basically perp walk him on a BS misdemeanor charge. I might be overestimating the tactical intelligence of the idiot power-hungry hacks behind this, but if there is any political strategy, then this has to be it. Meaning they don't have anything. All they have is to get this guy behind bars so that he can't sit there and be nominated, so that he can actually fix the disaster that's being done by the Democrat Party here. You also have Pedro Gonzalez. Trump walked his supporters into a trap set by his enemies on January 6th. Now he's asking them to walk into another trap by demanding they take to the streets for him. Meanwhile, the only reason and person that could perhaps help Trump is Ron DeSantis, who Trump just basically has all these bad things to say about. You have Nancy Pelosi running her mouth. Whatever the grand jury decides, its consideration makes clear no one is above the law, not even a former president of the United States. Sure, Nancy. As she's trying to keep her dentures in her mouth as she's trying to say this. The former president's announcement this morning is reckless, doing so to keep himself in the news to foment unrest among his supporters. He cannot hide from his violence of the law, or rather violations of the law, disrespect for our elections, and incitements to violence. You gotta love that, incitements to violence, when you literally have Maxine Waters on tape inciting violence, telling basically Democrat supporters to go after and harm Trump supporters wherever they may be. But you're right, Nancy, take to Twitter and spew your nonsense. Rightfully, our legal system will decide how to hold him accountable. But the same legal system isn't going to go after you, isn't going to go after Barack Obama, isn't going to go after Joe Biden, isn't going to go after Eric Holder, isn't going to go after Hunter Biden. It just seems to be a theme here where you only want to sit there and start investigations around Republicans, but never want to go after Democrats. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Do you think Trump's going to be arrested tomorrow? I think you're going to have a lot of pissed off Republicans and conservatives. Elon Musk seems to think if this does happen, Trump's going to win in a landslide. We'll see. I mean, a lot of Americans have a short-term memory. So we're still 2 years away from election, a little less than 2 years, but I think it'll be swept under the rug. If you look at what Joe Biden's done, a lot of people don't even remember Afghanistan. They don't remember the earlier days of him removing Trump's policies on the illegal immigration. That's why we have this massive surge, or him just, pretending to create 12 million new jobs, of which he didn't do. We covered that last week, of him actually falsifying the numbers. I mean, we have such a short attention span, and the news cycle is so fast that we tend to forget all the bad things that not just the Democrat Party has done, but Joe Biden himself. Well, moving into our next story of the day, if you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, folks, please do so. We have this LGBTQ stuff being pushed and peddled in the NHL once again, where a Sharks player refuses to wear the LGBTQ themed jersey because of his Christian faith. And well, furious hockey writers lash out. Absolutely a homophobe is what they're calling him. So we've done story after story on this. The last one was a Philadelphia Flyers player saying, hey, look, I'm Russian Orthodox and it goes against my religion. I'm just not going to wear it. He didn't want to create a huge hubbub about it. It was literally a sentence. And he's like, if you want to have any hockey questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Meaning he's not trying to make it a big deal. But of course, the progressive left and all these idiots out there have to make it such a big deal. So an NHL player is facing backlash after refusing to wear the LGBTQ themed jersey during Pride Night. The San Jose Sharks hosted a Pride Night, which I don't even know why they still do. I would like to point out the base of hockey fans have no interest in this. Like zero interest whatsoever about this whole thing. Sure, they might pack the house, meaning the barn, meaning the arena, but that's all full for people that are pro LGBTQ, but the vast majority of NHL fans are not. We don't want to see that type of stuff. Just politics in general. We just there to watch a game. I've said this before. Those that are freaking viewers of the Ball Brad Show, we know this. We just want to watch sports and get away from the politics and the craziness of the world. That's literally why we do Supernatural Saturdays here on the Ball Brad Show, is you just dive into something fun that has nothing to do with politics and just have a good time with it. Well, the progressive left have to destroy everything, you know? Again, another shameless plug, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. We wrote a whole book on it, folks. It was released March 13th. Head over to Amazon to get your copy. Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America, talks about all of this, not this specifically, but the indoctrination in the school system, critical race theory, abortion, Antifa destroying our cities and burning them down from the inside out. It all talks about utilizing the Greek mythology of pushing the Trojan horse in the city of Troy, making it fall apart from the inside out. The progressive left and the Democrat Party are doing the exact same thing with their ideology, and they're destroying this country from the inside out. Go grab your copy today at Amazon or Barnes & Noble's. Link is in the description. Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. You're seeing it real time. Heck, not just with America, but our sports here as well. The Sharks announced that instead of normal game content, the professional hockey team would offer information and facts about the LGBTQ topic. So here's that tweet right here from the San Jose Sharks. During tonight's game, in lieu of our normal game content, we will be using this platform to offer information and facts about the LGBTQIA+ topics. Our hope is that this content will serve as a reminder that there are issues more important than goals, highlights, and wins, the very issues of which everybody that's watching it for the most part is trying to get away from. Hockey is not for everyone until everyone is comfortable playing, working, or being a fan of this incredible game. So there you go, just pandering to a certain demographic, certain audience that literally doesn't like this country, thinks that a guy that doesn't want to wear the jersey is homophobic, even though his religion says to love everybody, and it goes against his religion to do such a thing, or at least he believes so. But we're going to sit there and bash the guy. If you want to see like a little bit of a commercial on this, we'll get to that in one moment. But here's another one from the SAP Center. Checking out our rainbow sushi. You have a rainbow night at the Shark Tank with these, I guess, rainbow flag-ish, for those that are listening, I don't know how to describe it, emblem on a white t-shirt. So all these goodies you can get at the game, you know, trying to make a theme of it. Well, here's kind of like the Pride Night artist highlight. And, you know, I got to say it's not a good drawing, but you be the judge.
Hello, my name is Hui Chow. I use she, her pronouns, and I am an artist and educator, and I was born and raised in San Jose, California. I got into art ever since I was a little kid. It was something that I always loved. I was always really shy, and that was my way of communicating with the world. I love painting. There's just something about the colors that just make life beautiful. So the inspiration I had for the logo, I wanted it to be simple enough where a kid understands what the logo means. And also,
did you hear that? I want it to be simple enough where a child understands what it means. So this whole community, you guys, I'm not bashing her. You know, she probably is a great artist. Kudos to her for getting the job. Kudos to her for doing her thing, you know, whatever. But it just goes to show you, again, this community is all about targeting children. It's not about going after adults. Adults are able to do and make decisions they want to do, but they're going after your children consistently, whether that's through cartoons, like what Disney's doing, or the outlets like NBC, ABC, Nickelodeon, the Disney Channel. All that stuff is targeting your children. So they're doing it in movies, they're doing it in TV shows, they're doing it on YouTube. Now they're doing it at sporting events. You literally can't get your kids away from this stuff. And then you send your kids to school, and they're also being indoctrinated with this stuff, being helped along for their transition phase of going from a male to female, which we all know that's not possible, you know, under the radar without your knowledge, being indoctrinated with critical race theory, gender identity theory. All this stuff is being peddled and pushed on your children, and that's who they're targeting, which is disgusting. I'm not saying she's a groomer, but there are some main groomers out there, folks, in the education system, in the entertainment industry, that 100% are grooming your children, and that's the main focus. That is the target audience of the progressive left.
so like an older person or that older generations can understand, okay, this is a shark that's being loved by their community. I did add the progressive flag on there, and I know when people think about the LGBTQ plus community, it's just the rainbow. But the progressive flag is supposed to add, so it has the brown, black, and the trans colors that have been added. And the reason why those colors have been added is because a lot of queer people of color were being erased. So that is, you know, the way of showing up for those people, because, you know, those are the people that are the most marginalized even within the LGBTQ plus community. It's really amazing.
So if there's even your own community marginalizing others, why don't you go after those in your own community first before you're attacking a guy for his faith of not wanting to wear a jersey? Why don't you spend the time other than decorating a fun little jersey here, which, by the way, you did actually a pretty good damn job on the shark. Hockey sticks, that was a little rough, but the shark actually was pretty decent. Regardless, go after your own community and stop going after children.
To be working with the San Jose Sharks, because as a kid, I didn't think I was able to be an artist. And then also as a kid, I knew I was queer, but I was too afraid to say anything. So now the fact that I am a grown-up and I'm an artist and I'm queer and I'm loudly, proudly making this design for all of you, it's just overwhelmingly exciting. I think I'm just really excited for the youth to see it, because they're just really going to know that there's representation and that there's people out there fighting for them, and making sure that they can grow up in a safer space.
There's such this false reality of like safe spaces, as if there's not like real evil out there in the world. And I find it so interesting. You know, everything has to be a safe space. That's not reality. Reality isn't necessarily safe. Reality is very dangerous. And we keep bubbling and sheltering our children, and heck, even adults, to where you get these people that are growing up and they're knuckleheads. You know, they're against self-defense. They're against our Constitution, the creed of this country. They're against this country in general. And so they go up and they make jerseys like this, and they get on social media, which, hey, kudos to them for doing, but they portray this false reality where men can become women and women can become men, and as if there's all these safe spaces. Sure, maybe there is a safe space out there. Maybe your home is safe. Maybe whatever you categorize yourself, maybe your car is safe. Hell, I don't know. But there's real evil out there in the world. And for you to portray this hockey player as a homophobe and some sort of evil scum because he doesn't want to wear your jersey because it goes against his religion is so asinine. But it just shows you how asinine some people are on the progressive left. Again, they want to destroy this country from the inside out. Well, Reimer was attacked, the player, for opting not to wear the Pride Night jersey. A hockey writer claimed that Reimer looked like a clown for his faith-based decision. Another hockey writer vilified Reimer as absolutely a homophobe. The writer also alleged, here's also what I believe: Jesus would unequivocally love and celebrate the LGBTQ plus community. He'd be the first to wear a rainbow. This is how much nonsense these people spew and how lack of the scriptures or their understanding of the scriptures they have. But, you know, they're going to just shout homophobe and, oh, well, Jesus would have been first to sin. He would have been first to wear that jersey. He would have been forced. He would have been so loved by everybody in that community. He would have just forcibly put himself on another male and hooked up with him. I mean, I'm not saying they said that, but that's just how far we can take it with some of these progressive left. He would be so loved, and he loves his community so much that he would have sex with another man. He would commit sin. It's like, you know, it's unbelievable. I'm not even saying that it's sinful to wear a gay pride jersey, but it is sinful to do what the LGBTQ plus community does. But I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. That's their thing. That's not my life. I'm not going to push my religious viewpoint upon them. I'm not going to say they can't wear a jersey. I'm not going to say they can and can't do this. I would like you not to peddle your disgusting stuff like transing children and calling us transphobe for saying that we don't want you to do that. But this is how things work out, is that they want to push their narrative upon us, but we can't push our narrative upon them, of which we don't want to do. We want to be left alone. We want to be able to raise our own children. We don't want this pushed on us at sporting events. We want to be left alone. A sports writer called the Sharks a trash organization for even putting out this hateful statement. It's hateful now. Everything's hateful. They're still hosting an entire night for you guys because a guy doesn't want to wear a jersey. Now the entire organization's hateful. And added that Reimer is hiding behind the Bible to refuse to endorse gay people having rights and existing. I would say he's hiding behind the Bible. He's pretty outspoken about it, saying, hey, it goes against his Christian faith. I mean, I don't think he's hiding. I think he just said it plainly right out there in the open for all of you. But he's hiding somehow. You want to know who hid and who is hiding? Joe Biden. That man hides. A writer of a newsletter about sexism in sports lashed out at Reimer under the umbrella of disingenuous BS. You have effed right off with the statement, or rather, you can F off right off with the statement. If you truly believe that queer community is welcome in hockey, you'd wear the shirt. You don't have to have it both ways. Jesus is not impressed, is what she said. I love how just kind of highlighting the queer community. I think that's pretty discriminatory on behalf of her, because what about all the other parts that go into the trans flag and the other parts of the LGBTQ, LMNOP, QRS, TUV community? So she's just going to leave those people out and screw them. So Reimer joins fellow player Ian Pro. I always mess up with Russian last names, but it's the guy from the Philadelphia Flyers that we covered last time, where he also refused to wear the jersey. You also had the New York Rangers nixing wearing the rainbow colored jersey, pride jerseys before the game as well. So they must be all trash organizations too, I suppose. But it's so funny how all these organizations aren't wanting to do this because, again, it doesn't fit their base, but they're going to pedal and push it regardless. Let me know what you think about this, folks, in the comment section below. That's the latest news from the NHL, the Hockey League. Moving into our last story of the day. Hit that like and subscribe, folks, if you haven't already. A few of you in the live chat, I think it was on Friday's episode, also in the comment section, basically said, hey, where's the updates on East Palestine, Ohio, the train derailment? Why have you not talked about that, Brad? What's going on? You guys, there's a lot of news out there. I do drop the ball, but we have updates here for you. Ask for it. I shall deliver, my friends. I can't cover everything. Audrey, if you're watching, I get your emails as well regarding the illegal immigration that's going on at the southern border. If you guys send me emails just because I don't respond, I do get them. There's a lot of stuff. I'm a one-man show that goes on behind the scenes. I'm just trying to keep my head above water here to be able to conduct everything myself, whether that's business operations, creating the content, editing the content, replying to you, hanging out with y'all. I love doing it. I'm not complaining by any means. It's just, please forgive me if I don't always get to you guys, but I listen to you, and this is proof right here because I'm giving you an update on cancer-causing chemicals found in East Palestine soil as high as hundreds of times greater than past EPA safety recommendation, folks. You sitting down for this because we were told everything's fine. Oh, everything's A-okay, according to Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary, and the knucklehead Joe Biden, who supposedly is running the country. From what I heard, we all know that ain't true. Well, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency said the soil in East Palestine does not contain dangerous levels of a cancer-causing chemical. However, a past scientific recommendation from the EPA contradicts that assertion. Earlier this month, the EPA Regional Administrator, Deborah Shore, said there were very low levels of dioxins during a hearing of the U.S. Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works. Quote, we detect very low levels, which very quickly went down to non-detect. Without those primary indicators, it was a very low probability that dioxins would have been created, Shore told Congress. They were secondary byproducts of the burning of vinyl chloride. But we were listening to the community, and they expressed significant concerns about the toxin. Not just the community. I mean, literally the entire United States was going, that doesn't look good when you have that kind of black smoke coming into the sky and it basically enveloping multiple states around it. Yeah, it's probably not a good thing. And also just all the cell phone video was coming out about this. It also tells you where we're at in kind of our day and age, where the amount of gaslighting that takes place is head spinning. Because you have everybody that sit there can go on the internet, upload any video they want. Granted, some could be lies, some could be truth. That's up to you as an individual to decide what is right, what is wrong, what is truth, what is false. But the fact is we could still see all this stuff and make decisions for ourselves if something is or isn't happening. And then you have these politicians and agencies coming out and saying, oh, no, everything's fine. Not a big deal, folks. Nothing to see here. Just go home. Go back to your homes. You're going to be okay. It's asinine. The EPA waited a month before ordering dioxin testing near the toxic Norfolk Southern train derailment in East Palestine. Yes, folks, you heard me correctly. They waited a month. Oh, God, your eyes are falling out, Janet. Oh, Jesus. Your tongue's no longer connected to your face. Oh, God, why could that happen? Being a little facetious here, folks. Pace Analytical, an independent lab based in Indiana, released a report on whether there were dangerous concentrations of chemicals in soil samples from East Palestine. I would say there might have been. I mean, we literally saw fish floating just dead down the stream. There's people literally throwing rocks that was basically disrupting the soot that was at the bottom of these rivers and ravines. And it was just like, you could see all the chemicals just rising as if there was like an oil spill. It was disgusting. But we were told, oh, the water sample's fine. You could just drink it. Look at the mayor. He's drinking the water. Is that guy even around? Guy alive anymore? The Guardian reported, quote, regulators established the toxicity of dioxins in a soil sample by calculating the toxicity equivalence of all dioxins in the soil compared with the most toxic dioxin compound called 2378 TCDD. East Palestine soil showed levels of 2378 TCDD, toxicity equivalents of 700 parts per trillion. You got to hold on to that number here because now we're going to get into some pretty hefty sciencey numbers, as if you want to call it that. So check this out. Since 1998, the EPA determined that dioxin soil concentrations of less than 1,000 parts per trillion. So we just looked at 700 parts per trillion. In 1998, 1,000 parts per trillion were considered safe residential areas, and between 5,000 and 20,000 in commercial and industrial soil. Anything above those levels would trigger a cleanup. However, in 2010, so like 12 years later, the EPA proposed drastic reductions in what concentration of dioxin the agency determined to be safe based on the best available peer-reviewed science. Well, now that one goes with peer-reviewed science. You haven't seen any of that. There's people that talk about gay dogs. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that goes into peer-reviewed stuff. That's a bunch of nonsense. Well, the concentration of dioxins in the East Palestine soil samples is as much as hundreds of times greater than the threshold from the EPA's safety recommendation from 2010. The EPA declared in 2010, based on a consideration of oral and dermal exposures to dioxin, EPA has developed the following draft recommended interim PRGs for dioxin in soil. 72 parts per trillion for residential soil and 950 parts per trillion for governmental industrial soil. Folks, I hope you're sitting down. God, this is so head spinning. So it went from in 1998, 1,000 parts per trillion to 72. And then for commercial and industrial, went from 5,000 to 20,000 all the way down to 950. In 12 years. Then the environmental agency stated EPA believes that these draft recommended PRGs would generally provide adequate protection against non-cancer effects and generally should protect against cancer effects altogether. However, the EPA also considered lowering the threshold far more to protect Americans against cancer and other health issues. Again, if you're just joining us, this has everything to do with the East Palestine train derailment and how basically the soil samples aren't looking good. EPA is considering and requesting comment on an alternative concentration of 3.7 parts per trillion TEQ in residential soil and 17 parts per trillion TEQ in commercial industrial soil as draft preliminary, basically remediation goals. The agency said in a draft recommendation, interim preliminary remediation goals for dioxin in soil. Hell of a title in that one. The EPA proclaimed that the 3.7 parts per trillion concentration would be protective from cancer and non-cancer effects. This is so crazy. EPA Assistant Administrator for Solid Waste and Emergency Response said in 2010, we're driven by the need to protect against excessive risk of both cancer and non-cancer health concerns. We believe the current standards are not sufficiently protective and more stringent numbers are needed. Folks, please don't be alarmed by my laughing. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm laughing because it is so clown show crazy that all I can do is laugh. Or what am I going to do? Scream at you the entire time? I don't think so. The Obama administration killed a proposed decrease in the dioxin threshold at the time. So what's funny here is Trump's being blamed for certain things like the economy, everything that's going on right now that the Biden administration pretty much caused. Example would be Silicon Valley Bank on how they're blaming Trump for removing regulations that would have never stopped the thing in the first place. So it's amazing how Donald Trump's being blamed for something he had nothing to do or with. But Obama literally killed a proposed decrease in dioxin threshold at the time that could possibly actually affecting people greatly in Ohio. Dioxin concentrations that require cleanups are much lower in several states, including 90 parts per trillion in Michigan and only 50 parts per trillion in California. And California is an extremely leftist state, folks. The EPA released a statement regarding the soil samples. Quote, the available data analyzed and validated by an independent laboratory shows that waste from East Palestine that went to Indiana does not contain harmful level dioxins. Linda Birnbaum, a leading dioxin researcher, toxicologist, and former director of the National Institute for Environmental Health Sciences, said the burning of vinyl chloride from the train derailment could have created dioxins. So now we're getting two contradictory kind of statements here. Birnbaum added, the levels are not screaming high, but we have confirmed that dioxins are in East Palestine soil. Isn't that just lovely? Well, you know, we were told that everything was fine, folks. Close up shop, go back home, go on your merry way. Everything's A-okay. Now we're being told, oh, well, there are dioxins in the soil. It's killed your fish and everything. It's in your rivers and water, but don't worry about it. The EPA must test the soil in the area more broadly. Mind you, they didn't get those tests till a month after everything took place. You have an organic chemist at Johns Hopkins University told The Guardian, I certainly wouldn't be comfortable living there. Folks, we do have people that watch the Bald Brad Show, and hopefully they are watching today, that literally live in Ohio and the surrounding area. So please write in what you're experiencing right now in the live chat in the comment section below, so our viewers and listeners can sit there, support you, pray for you, and just so we know what the hell is going on as well with boots on the ground there. The EPA warns dioxins are highly toxic. It could cause cancer, reproductive and developmental problems, damage to the immune system, and can interfere with hormones. Folks, I'm giving you a very detailed update here. Yes, you wanted it. I shall give you it, folks. So if we're going a little long today, folks, hopefully you're okay with that, because look, we're getting into the science of it all. Just to follow the science like we had to do for 3 years, you know. You gotta follow the peer-reviewed journals. You gotta listen to Fauci. But this is seriously crazy, man, because it's going to affect your live crop. It's going to affect you and your family, so be careful here. The World Health Organization states that long-term exposure is linked to impairment of the immune system, the developing nervous system, and just reproductive functions. A paper published in Environmental Science Europe, a peer-reviewed scientific journal covering environmental science, warns of the dangers of these dioxins. Well, the good news is here, President Joe Biden has not visited East Palestine since the toxic train derailment happened on February 3rd. More than 2 weeks ago, Biden promised that he would be out there at some point. It took him 2 years to get to the southern border. Still, it's been a month and a half since he's visited this whole thing, this train derailment, the thing. But, hey, the day after SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, goes under, Joe Biden's there the next day. Oh, he's there making sure everything's A-okay. So this is how this president rolls. He doesn't care about you. He will say he cares about you, but he doesn't. Typical politician, typical of the Democrat Party. But hey, you know what, folks? There's a lot of people in East Palestine. There's a lot of people in Ohio in general that vote Democrat. And this is kind of, the reward that they get. I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I'm not trying to politicize this necessarily. Partially I am, of course. But stop voting Democrat. You'll get a Republican down there that will be hopefully there really quick. You're talking to a Republican right now. There's this whole community that we pretty much have built here on the Bald Brad Show is the Republicans, and we care a lot about it. We had people say, hey, Brad, why is there not an update going on? So we're giving you an update because we care about it. There's a lot of news to cover. We can't cover everything, of course, or else we'll be here for hour-long episodes. If that's what you want, I will give you hour-long episodes. We'll do 10 stories a day if you want. It's whatever you guys want, I'm willing to do. I have fun doing this. I'll make it 10 minutes. Whatever you guys want. If you want an hour long, let me know. If you want 2 hours long, we will go 2 hours. We will start live streaming for 5 hours a day if we need to do it to get all the news out there. I just don't think there's too many people that would actually watch for 5 hours. But folks, there you have it. Let me know what you think about this. Should Joe Biden get his booty down there to East Palestine, or has kind of the story already shifted, the narrative already moved away? Do people not really care? Let me know what you say or think in the comment section. Make sure you go over to baldbrad.com, get yourself some merch, get yourself a mug here, drink some coffee with us in the morning. Every show starts at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have Supernatural Saturdays. We got a book that was released on March 13th. It is available now at Barnes & Noble's, Amazon. Get yourself a copy, paperback, hardcover. Heck, it is all out there, folks. It's titled Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. And folks, boy, oh boy, are they destroying America. Find out how they're doing it and how you can combat it by reading that book. Give it to a friend or family member if you're not interested in reading it. A fellow conservative, American patriot, make sure you get them a copy. And heck, if you want to give a nice, lovely gift to a Democrat, boy, oh boy, would that be the gift to give them. And folks, I'll see you tomorrow here on The Bald Brad Show.